obsolescence, which is building, especially heritage building, systems, spaces, functions, and skill became out of date. The second, after obsolescence, we will have consumption. Because we have obsolescence in system, then we have consumptions in these systems. So consumptions will happen when land use, market shift faster than planning or response. The third one is seasonal and by day climatic changes, which is exceeded the services quality of the city. And finally, semiotic sound. This is also very important. We are also left it for can renew them. So, our main or our main concept of this presentation is obsolescence is the decline of the useful life of building, spaces, urban fabric, when they can no longer adapt to technology, economic, cultural changes over time. They lose resilience compared to newer one and may be eventually neglected and abandoned. So, what type of obsolescence we are speaking about? In building, we are speaking about physical obsolescence, when structure, building material are due of time, which we are seeing in most of the city centers building, the traditional one and not the traditional one. The functional, when the building no longer meets current standards or needs. Locational, when the site is less suitable to the change, accessibility or economic condition. These pictures below are examples of each obsolescence I'm speaking about. Especially the centers of the city, traditional city. We have the locational, which is the most important one when we can't access to all this traditional building. And there is no accessibility to these buildings to give them life again. Legal area, one of the most important buildings all over the world, when the building fails to meet update regulation, especially for safety regulation. This is one of the most important reasons that most of the buildings in the whole world are facing neglected and abandoned. Finally, the image and style, when these buildings look outstanding or unfunctional, even if they work physically, but they are not up to date as an image of architecture. So, why resilience and adaptation is the solution? Fact, we are speaking about that time is the center of the challenges, or any challenges, from architecture, from one building to the whole city. The problem is we are facing is obsolescence, consumption of building, and urban fabric. The recovery is the resilient, adaptive solutions reaching to adaptable city. So, what is adaptive resilience and adaptive city? Urban resilience is the ability of the city's people, system, spaces to withstand, adapt to, and recover quickly from any shocks and stress without losing its essential function or equality. And the process toward a safer and more active and dynamic situation again. The adaptation is when a city carefully designed and governed to learn and adapt over time, changing its form, infrastructure, institutions, in response to new data. So we are speaking about transforming to new dynamic situation, not going back to the original situation. So, and community needs so that the today's situation do not create tomorrow's weakness. Importance in contemporary urbanism, we are resilience and adaptability is essential in modern urban planning. So our main thesis also, cities are facing a continuous state of challenges. They must keep services running under stress. They recover quickly. So what's the difference, main difference between resilience and adaptation or adaptability? The urban resilience, as I said before, is when the city able to withstand, recover, and transform. Sorry, not transform, change. Sorry. The main focus is the trauma and transformation and learning and justice. The urban adaptation is adjusting structures and behavior to cope with changes so the city will transform to new situation. The main focus is preparation, learning, and gradual change. A quick theoretical background for the main concept of resilience and adaptation. As you know, urban resilience emerged in ecology at 1973 when Holland introduced the concept of ecological resilience, system shifts or reorganization and grow again. Later, urban scholars, Levy in 2003, shifted our thinking from bounce back, returning to the old normal, which is the main concept of resilience, to the bounce forward. That's been transforming towards a better situation, dynamic situation. So, adaptive city theory emphasizes complexity, flexibility, and continuous learning. From the modern city are complex adaptive systems, not machines. The urban design and planning must evolve the same way. We must think the same way like this. Previous studies are preventing today's solution from creating tomorrow's weakness. We have the main goals we have to change, that the climatic goal, heritage as the main concept of resilience, economic competitiveness, attack talent. That's the main three themes we must work in to achieve the solution. This hypothesis argues that resilient cities are not about infrastructure or technology, but are connected to identity, social fabric, and governance capacity. Therefore, resilience emerges when community, institution, and special systems learn, adapt, and build forward together. Because of the importance of the statement, I usually put the Arabic statement. So, dimension of urban resilience we are speaking about, we have mentioned also before, we are speaking about physically, when we have social, very strong infrastructure with backup system and building form. We have social network inclusions and community cohesion, environmental, when climate adaptation, economic system protection, economic, when resource diversity and stability, and finally institution, flexible governance, adaptive policies, and leadership capacity. True resilience integrates all dimensions across space and time, not just physical adaptation. So, why resilience and adaptation within the trend of contemporary theory today? Because it is part of sustainability. So, all this will lead us to sustainable cities. So we have resilience, which means survive and transformation, sustainable, which is about balance and preserve, adaptation, which is about adjustments and response. True resilience is inseparated from sustainability. It depends on continuous adaptation. Therefore, we must think globally and act locally. Because we are part of these great systems that all working together to get sustainable world, we are part of this world, but we can't give solutions from the other cities. We have to build our solutions from ourselves. So this is our shi'ar. We must think globally while we act locally to achieve sustainable, resilience, adaptive city. So, linking urban challenges with resilience and adaptive to achieve sustainability, we have two questions. The first main two questions: is urban fabric resilient enough to adapt to new changes and transformation? The second question, if the answer is no, how can urban system develop to level of resilience needed to support adaptation and transformation? From this, we go to the dynamic cities, which is the main concept that relates resilience, adaptation, and sustainability. So dynamic interaction between the development and resilience and services is the solution. If any city faces any challenges, as we mentioned before, we usually have two scenarios. When we have challenges to the resilience and adaptation of the urban system, scenario number one, that the urban system does not have the resilience or the adaptation to urban change, then we will have the problem